Hey guys, Blake the Book Eater here with another review, and today it's The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Okay, first of all, this book is cray. If you loved Gone Girl, you gonna love this book. And if you haven't read Gone Girl, okay, where have you been? First of all. Second of all, you're gonna love this book anyways. And if you don't, this book was it was great. It was great. It was great, guys. So for those of you who don't know what The Girl on the Train is about, which you shouldn't know that much about going in, but kind of the basic premise is we have our narrator, and she's pretty unreliable. She's an alcoholic. She's not even a functioning alcoholic. She's just a straight up drunk. And every day she takes the train to London in the morning and then home in the evening, and we get snippets of her when she's on the train. And every day she passes by this row of houses, and it stops at the signal, and she's able to kind of peer into the life of this couple, and she nicknames them Jess and Jason. And in her head, they're kind of the perfect couple. Everything they represent is kind of everything she doesn't have, and she kind of projects everything onto them. And then one day, while she's on the train, she sees something, and she just can't forget it. And from there, we have our story. And that's about as vague as I'm keeping it, because this book is insanely complicated, and it's awesome. We have lots of characters, we have a really twisted storyline, and I can't really get into talking about the book without spoiling anything, so I'm just gonna say, if you haven't read the book, go pick it up, read it, gush about it. And there's a movie coming out this October, I believe, with Emily Blunt as the main character, Rachel, and it looks pretty awesome. And just get ahead of the hype and read The Girl on the Train. See you next time. If you're here, you read this book, and your mind, well, I mean, my mind wasn't blown, but it was definitely messed with, and this book messes with your brain. So everybody sit down. We're gonna have a gush circle where we kind of, I don't know, just talk about everything that this book made you feel. Feel free to talk at the computer screen, because God knows we all need it after this book. So we have Rachel, we have Megan, and we have Anna, and there are three narrators. Rachel is the alcoholic, you know, you've read the book. And then Megan, she's the girl who goes missing, also known as Jess, and we have Anna. And I have to admit, Anna was my least favorite of the three narrators. Mainly because she stole Rachel's husband from her, and that's just not cool. And Rachel was so broken, and it's kind of bad, but I really identified with Rachel. I felt really bad for her, and I just kind of sympathized with the loneliness she was going through and why she turned to drink and all of that. I mean, I'm not an alcoholic or anything, but I think Stephen King said that this is actually one of the few genuinely realistic alcoholic narrators that he's ever read. So, and coming from a former alcoholic, that's big praise, and you know, it's also Stephen King. But I mean, it's kind of just me, I don't know, but the men in this book were just all bad. This book, well, actually, I don't think there was anybody good in this book. You know what? The girls were bad, the guys were bad, everybody was just straight up awful. And I've come to realize that I really like books about awful people, which says something about me. I don't know what that is, but good. Enjoyable. So my process going through this book basically was Rachel, I trusted her, and then we found out that she used to live four doors down from Megan and Scott, and I was like, ooh, that's fishy. that is fishy. And then Tom and Anna, and you know what? I never really liked Tom from the beginning just because he cheated on Rachel and then kicked her out of her own house and moved his mistress in 2 days later. That was just, I was like, not a good guy. Not a good guy at all. But I did not expect him to be as crappy as he turned out to be. God, this book. Basically, I was just insane. I can't, I feel... Okay, I'm gonna try to be coherent because I am all over the place right now. So, I didn't suspect where the plot was going, really. We got snippets of Megan cheating on her husband with her lover, and at first, I was like, it's Tom. It's Tom. I thought I called the book. And you know what? I kind of did. But then we find out that sometimes of the perspectives with her lover, it's Dr. Abdick, Kamal Abdick, and her therapist. Megan hooked up with her therapist. That's something. And while the more we found out about Megan, we kind of understand why all the stuff that happened to her did, I still really felt for Megan just because, I mean, obviously, you know, she was murdered. So that's gonna have me feeling for her. But then also, I mean, she just felt hollow with Scott, and that's something that, I mean, I've only had a few relationships, but I can definitely sympathize with that, just because even though you may have a facade of being happy, you might not actually be happy. And Megan's just restlessness and discontent and just wanting to be more, I think that's something that resonates with a lot of people. And so that's what it was so scary when she finally decided to start getting her life together and be true to herself, is when she got murdered. It's Paula Hawkins is basically like, oh, if you actually try to achieve your dreams, you're gonna get murdered. I don't want to get murdered. I did appreciate Anna's devotion to Evie. I mean, obviously it's her kid and stuff, but I mean, it was just kind of Anna was just so mean to Rachel. It made me mad. But then at the end, the ending was crazy because we found out what happened the night of July 13th, I think, and we're like, oh, it's all coming together. It's Tom. And Rachel, she goes to get Anna and she's like, we gotta leave. We gotta get Evie and we gotta go. And then Tom is right there. Ah! And Tom just revealed himself to be the crappy, disgusting person that he was. He's like so vile. He's worse than Ted Cruz. I mean, like, damn. This dude, it's just sick. When Rachel blacked out, he abused her and blamed her for it when she couldn't remember the next day. And then he, like, justified him cheating on her by saying, you're disgusting and you just... Ugh. And then he went out and he, you know, had an affair with Anna. And then while Anna was pregnant, he was off porking Megan. This guy, he's literally the worst. I mean... I really hope there aren't as many males as I think there are that are out there like Tom. Which is sad, because there probably are. I mean, that way of thinking is just so twisted. It makes me want to punch something. And so, when Rachel had her confrontation with Tom and stabbed him in the neck with the corkscrew, I was like, yes, because I like, honestly, like, it's good when, you know, a bad guy goes to jail or something, but I'm a very vindictive person, so I feel more satisfied when they die. Because that's just me. And then, you know, Rachel was just horrified, and I was right there with her. I was like, you know what, you just did what you had to do. He was gonna come and do bad stuff to you eventually, so might as well just, you know. And then Anna came out, and I was like, oh no. I mean, because like she was content to like have Tom basically murder Rachel, and as long as, you know, they could get on with their lives, she showed like no concern whatsoever. I was like, what is this? But then she came out and she screwed the corkscrew further into his neck. I mean, that's just cold, and I loved it. Oh my god, it was just, this was a wild ride. Some of the other characters, Kamal, I felt like he was kind of the most manipulated character, just because Megan manipulated him a ton, but then he also kind of was a dick, and, you know, when the police, he released the information about Megan accidentally killing her baby. That is what caught me off guard, really. That's one of the few plot twists that I was actually, like, surprised at. I was like, oh my god. And it just made Megan's whole situation just so much more sadder for me, because she was pregnant and she was ready to start a new life with a new kid, and she realized she didn't need the men in her life. She didn't need the emotionally abusive Scott. She didn't need her whatever she had with Tom. She just wanted her and a baby, and she was murdered for that. Gah! I didn't really like Scott throughout the entire novel. I mean, he was okay, but he was also insanely controlling and definitely emotionally abusive, and also just when he found out how much Rachel had been lying to him, and he started like, I think he choked her and then locked her in the room, and I was scared for Rachel. I was like, get out of there now, because at that point we didn't know Tom was the murderer. And I didn't think that Scott had murdered Rachel or murdered Megan, but I was definitely like, okay, he's bad news, you gotta get out of there. And I mean, it's just kind of sad how commonplace awful things were in this book. But it was realistic, it wasn't crude, it was tastefully done, and it was definitely compelling. And I definitely enjoyed it, and, you know, anything Paula Hawkins writes, I think from now on is going to be on my watch list, and I'm going to pick it up, because if it's anything like this, I really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to enjoy it more. So I forgot to say in my non-spoilers, but this book for me is a 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't love it, like the full 5 stars, just because, I mean, I love this book. I flew through it, but kind of after I finished it, I wasn't as invested. It didn't really stick with me. While I was reading it, it was an amazing roller coaster ride, and I just needed to find out what happened. But the characters, I enjoyed them, but they didn't really resonate with me as much as I think they could have. And that's not an testament to the book itself. I thought it was wonderfully done, and lots of people have been throwing 5-star reviews at it, and I think it definitely deserves those. And I don't know why I'm not going to rate it 5 stars, but I just feel like 4 stars is kind of better where it's at. But this is a crazy book. It was a great book, and you know it, or you completely disagree with me, and you've been sitting going, I hate this guy, I'm never watching him again because this book was awful. But I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the movie, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. So, like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you soon. Bye.